Our hero, the Seer Arman, stands tall as the narration tells us about the labyrinth of shadows at the end of hell. Suddenly, the ground begins to crack, and the narration tells us that these labyrinths are the most powerful beings mankind has ever faced. Now, the ground breaks open, and our hero is presented with a giant stone dragon with a meteor rank of destruction. The dragon angrily looks down upon Desir and taunts his team of warriors who have come to fight him. The dragon openly declares that no one can defeat him, but then Desir thinks back to the past 10 years, where this hellish world took away so many innocent lives that were close to him. Desir declares his motivation and tells the dragon that he is going to put an end to his life once and for all. He unleashes his magical spells and completes an analysis of the dragon's magic. Desir is able to seal off the dragon's voice, and this allows his team to get into action. An intense battle breaks out with all of Desir's warriors coming together to kill the dragon. They finally succeed, much to the dragon's surprise, and it finally gets slayed. The team rejoices in their victory, and the Knight of Light, Raphael, congratulates everyone for doing such an amazing job. However, the King of Esteban, Donovan Asylum, is suspicious because none of the warriors have returned to their original worlds despite the mission being completed. Raphael agrees with him, but it seems like this world does not accept the normal rules of the Shadow World. The team decides to wait in a planet that used to have 150 million people, but now only has 6 of them. This is quite amusing, especially to the Sage of Wisdom, Jode Exarian. Jode is told not to pay too much attention to this aspect, but he reminds everyone that they need to understand what went wrong, particularly because 99% of the sages have been killed in this world. Desir tries to lift everyone's mood by suggesting they've done a great job, and then a girl named Eru von Dorich praises Raphael for making their job so much easier. Raphael tries to act humble and diverts the attention back to Desir, who had taken away the dragon's voice. Even Donovan agrees with this and thanks Desir, but it makes our hero feel awkward. Jode confesses that he thought Desir was going to die at first, because to identify and seal a dragon's voice is no simple feat. He even declares that he is incapable of such powers despite being a 7-tier magic circle magician. Hearing this, everyone in the team becomes curious and asks Desir how he is still a 3-tier magician. He reveals that he never had a formal education, so this could be the reason for his status. Our hero gets some sympathy from Jode, who believes that he could have become an epic warrior if he had the right kind of support. Desir has had enough of the praises, so Raphael changes the topic by saying all of them are going to return to a hero's welcome back at their world. Donovan states that he will try to do justice to all those who had died during the deadly incident. Eru agrees with his ways and states that she will construct some shrines for the people who had fallen to the dragon's wrath. Jode says that he will try to conduct some research so that he can put an end to the reappearance of these labyrinths. He claims that if such monsters were to appear again and again, it would spell the end for all the worlds of the universe. A woman named Lady Adjust simply sits on top of a rock and listens to the conversation, so Raphael asks her what's on her mind. However, she simply gives everyone a blank stare and looks away. Raphael doesn't think much of it and shifts to Desir. Before Desir can answer, Jode offers our hero a chance to come with him. Jode asks if Desir is going to return to his Havrion Academy, and it makes his pulse shaky. Desir starts to feel a pain in his chest, and suddenly, there's a massive explosion right next to the team. This puzzles everyone, because they believed they had killed the dragon for good, with even Jode confirming it. However, the wizard suddenly remembers that this activity could be because of the dragon's heart. He reveals that a dragon's heart is similar to that of a mana circle. Because of this, the mana power of the dragon is kept inside the heart for a long period of time. However, if the dragon is to die, then the heart will overheat and eventually explode. The team is shocked to learn about such an important detail only now, and they want to know why they weren't informed of something so important before. Jode reasons that it is because this is the first time anyone has been able to kill a dragon in the first place. With the mana burst becoming even more gigantic, the team asks Jode to assess the magic level, but he simply says that this much mana cannot be calculated. He loses hope and says that everyone must prepare for the worst now. The mana finally explodes in front of the entire team, and their bodies begin to crack. Desir has a look at his own hands before he is blown away, but then he notices a giant spark of light, after which his hands become fine again. He is puzzled to see this, but also finds himself in his academy. He looks into a glass building and is shocked to see that he is wearing normal clothes. Desir is unable to figure out what has happened to him, but he doesn't have time to think. because he comes across an enthusiastic woman named Professor Bridget of the Havrion Academy. Desir is still pretty confused about the whole thing, but some of the students are busy admiring Bridget's body. The professor is able to hear everything, so she warns the boys not to get any ideas in their heads. Now, Bridget talks about getting accepted into the academy and mentions that there will be an entrance test that the students will need to pass. However, simply clearing it won't be enough, because the academy is only accepting the top 600 candidates. This causes some panic amongst the students, and then Bridget announces what the exam is going to be about. Now, Desir and Bridget collectively say that the entrance exam is to clear the mission objectives within the Shadow World. Our hero is shocked to learn that he has actually traveled back in time. Bridget goes on to reveal that the test will only be held in a simulated version of the Shadow World, and not the real thing. The students were glad to learn that they will be assigned mentors for the task, and then Bridget wishes everyone the best of luck for their exams. Desir needs to take the support of a pillar, as he is still trying to comprehend what triggered his time travel. That's when we learn that Desir has actually traveled 13 years back in time. Our hero starts to question all the sacrifices he and his loved ones had made in his previous life, because it all means nothing now that none of the Shadow World destruction has happened. All the students cheer for the Havrion Academy, but Desir simply holds onto his heart and breaks down into tears. He sits down on the stairs and is ridiculed by the others, but he is sure that he did not just witness a dream. He is very sure of the fact that he did live through 10 years of torture, but his thoughts are interrupted when Eru makes a dramatic appearance. She doesn't seem to remember Desir from the previous life, and simply scolds him for not being in his stated position. Eru is revealed to be Desir's mentor, and then we learn that she is a model student with a 6th-tier fire magic. The redhead tries to comfort Desir by saying he has nothing to worry about the entrance exams. Desir doesn't really have much to say because he has to play along with this. Eru points out that Desir is a commoner and laments that even if he does get chosen for the academy, he will only be put into the beta class, where the students aren't really given any formal education. It turns out that discrimination in the academy is a real thing, with only noble class students getting put into the alpha section, regardless of their skills or magic. Now, Eru takes Desir to the venue of the exam and asks him if he knows anything about the Shadow World. Desir says yes, but this makes Eru a little conscious of him. In order to test Desir's knowledge, Eru asks him what the Shadow World is. He gives a detailed answer, stating that it is basically a calamity that humanity has had to deal with ever since its inception. He goes on to say that it is a parallel world that opens up once every year and unleashes all kinds of hell. It turns out that there are multiple worlds inside the Shadow World, and they are based on true historic events. This has allowed the Magic Society to classify each world under different levels. Desir's answers impress Eru, and he ends his speech by saying it is absolutely important for them to clear the mission objectives within the Shadow World in order to obtain true peace within the real world. Eru doesn't want to show that she is impressed, so she adds on to whatever Desir has just said. She explains to us that the Western Kingdoms and the Havrion Academy are the only two places that manage the Shadow World. However, this has resulted in an unnecessary rivalry between both bodies, so each of them tries their best to collect as many shadow artifacts as possible. Eru knows that there are other factions such as outsiders as well, but Desir doesn't need to learn so much already. She asks Desir if he has what it takes to clear the mission objectives in the Shadow World, and he instantly says yes. Now, Desir informs us that it is easy for him to complete such missions, because in the Shadow World, the missions and events are usually based on historical occurrences that have already happened in the real world. Using past information comes in handy, as it can be utilized towards completing successful missions. Now, Desir impresses Eru with more knowledge about the Havrion Academy, so she declares that she won't be of much use to him, because he already knows a lot. Instead, she takes him inside the academy building and uses her student ID card to gain access. At this point, it is revealed that Eru is a Tier 4 fire magician. Desir looks around the academy, which is supposed to be very impressive, but he doesn't seem to care about anything or anyone he sees. Eru is a little surprised by his behavior and asks him why he looks so neutral. Desir tries to act natural and says that he's already been to a building that looked like this place. Of course, Eru doesn't really believe him and jokes around. However, she gets alerted when she notices a couple of students approaching her. Eru takes guard as a blue-haired magician named Alfheim makes his appearance with a mysterious blonde girl next to him. Desir asks Eru if she knows Alfheim, but she simply replies that he is a scoundrel who annoys her all the time. This is primarily because Alfheim is a water magician, so his personality doesn't naturally match with Eru's fire persona. This has led to a rocky relationship between the two of them, as can be seen in their current behavior. Desir gets a little nervous as Eru starts hurling insults at Alfheim and declares how much she openly hates him. The fire and water rivals give fake smiles and insult each other in pretty brutal fashion, while our hero watches on in amusement. It turns out that Alfheim and Eru have actually battled each other once before, and Eru managed to win the fight with her fire powers. However, Alfheim counters that he was simply going easy on her, and calls her a lowly magician. The war of words continues between both the students as they stare at each other with deadly eyes. Alfheim has had enough of this game, so he asks Desir if he is with Eru. He says that she is his mentor, but Alfheim says that he has manners, unlike Eru. Now, the water magician checks up on Desir and learns that he is just a commoner. This gives Alfheim another reason to poke fun at Eru, because they are in the same group placements. He openly declares that Desir will falter in this lineup, simply because of the fact that he is a commoner. Eru still maintains hope that Desir will make her proud, but Alfheim simply says that his mentee is a magic swordsman. That's when we learn that it is Lady Adjust who is with Alfheim. She makes her introduction, and it makes Desir smile. Eru checks out Adjust's stats, and is shocked to see that she is a 3-tier ice magic swordsman. This is a big deal, because people like Adjust are considered to be much more powerful than standard knights. Alfheim simply laughs at his superiority, while Eru laments that there is a serious gap of talent between Desir and Adjust. Alfheim snaps his fingers and ridicules Eru for losing her confidence, and it makes her very grumpy. He decides to give him some advice. However, he just happens to say that our hero should quit the competition right now, because the beta class is as high as he'll ever go, and nobody likes to be a part of that class. Alfheim makes a dramatic turn and leaves with a jest, but Desir smirks with shyness when he looks at the blonde swordsman's impressive body. However, Eru is still pretty annoyed, and she states that the entrance exam is about to begin very soon. Suddenly, there's an announcement asking all the students to make their way forward to the exam venues, and it makes Desir laugh. This catches Eru's attention, so she asks him what's so funny. However, he simply suggests going forward because he doesn't want to be late for the exams. Like, share, and subscribe if you want me to continue this story. Hit the bell icon for regular notifications whenever I upload a new video. See you soon!